Tonight's lesson is lesson 12.5, line plots. Our essential question is, how can you make and interpret line plots with fractional data? Now we are working on page 229 in your Go Math book. So we need to find out what a line plot is. A line plot is a graph that shows the frequency of data along a number line. So it's showing how many times something is coming up with the information that they're giving you on a number line. So here is our line plot right here, and the title of it is Stuffed Animals, and down here at the bottom it's telling us the number of stuffed animals, and it's going from 0 to 5. Let's read the question. Sarah counted how many stuffed animals each student has. Our question is asking us how many students have 3 or more stuffed animals. So if we look here, this number, 0, this is how many students have 0 stuffed animals. This is how many students have 1 stuffed animal, how many students have 3, 4, and 5 stuffed animals. So our question is asking us how many students have 3 or more stuffed animals. 3 or more stuffed animals. So I'm going to look at where it's telling me that they have 3 stuffed animals, and I can see that there's 1, 2, 3 students that have 3, but then they said or more. So I need to look at 4 and 5 too. So far I have 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 students have 3 or more stuffed animals, and that's how we read a line plot. Now we're going to practice making our own tally chart or tally table and line plot, and we're going to use fractional data. So the numbers that we're going to use are going to be fractions to make our tally table and to make our line plot. So let's read the question. It says some students compared the time they spend riding the school bus. Complete the tally table and line plot to show the data. So here is our information, our data that we have, our numbers that they gave us. So it's the time spent on the school bus in hours. So one student spent 1/6 of an hour on the school bus, 3/6 of an hour, and then another student spent another 4/6 of an hour on a school bus, and so on. So they took a survey of how long students spent on the school bus, and this was their data. This was what they got from their information. So the first step in making a line plot is that you have to put your data, your numbers, your fractions in order from least to greatest. So that's what I did here. I'm going from least, the smallest fraction or the shortest time spent on the school bus, to the biggest fraction or the longest time spent on the school bus. So then we have to come and make a tally table using our information that we have. So here's my tally table, and notice that each fraction is being represented in the tally table here. And I have to put a tally for however many times that fraction shows up. So 1/6, I have 2 students that spent 1/6 of an hour on riding a school bus. So I have to put 2 tallies. And for 2/6, I only have 1 student that spent 2/6 of an hour on the school bus. 3/6, well, I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need 4 tally marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4/6, I only have 1. So I only need 1 tally mark. Now I need to come and make my line plot, which is right here. And I need to put however many tally marks for that fraction. I need to put my x's. So 1/6, you notice that we have 2 x's because there are 2 tally marks. So for 2/6, I need to put 1 x because only 1 student rode the bus 2/6 of an hour. And then for 3/6, we have 4, so we need 4 x's. And for 4/6, we only have 1 student. So we made our tally chart and our tally table and our line plot. And our information is showing here. Now we can use this information to answer some questions. Number 2 says, how many students compare times? Well, we just need to look at our tally chart or our line plot and our tally table, and we can just count up our X's, and that represents how many students told us their time that they spent on the school bus. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means 8 students told us their time that they spent on the school bus. Number 3 says, what is the difference between the longest time and the shortest time students spent riding the bus? Well, difference means that we need to subtract. And we need to subtract the longest time and the shortest time that the student spent riding the school bus. So our longest time was 4/6 of an hour. So we have to subtract that from our shortest time, which was 1/6 of an hour. So we're finding a difference. And to find the difference, to subtract fractions, all we have to do, since their denominators are the same, we keep our same denominator. So we bring our 6 over to our answer, and then we just subtract our 4 minus 1, our numerators, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So, the difference between the longest time and the shortest time students spent riding the school bus was 3/6 of an hour. Make sure you're writing this down in your Go Math book on page 229. Our problem-solving question is number 4, and remember we're on page 229 in your Go Math book, and it says that you need to make a tally table and a line plot for the data given. So they gave us our information here, the milk drunk at lunch in quarts, and remember each fraction is representing how much each student drank in quarts of milk. So our first step is that we need to put our information in order, our fractions in order from least to greatest. So why don't you pause the video and work on that, and then press play when you're done. Okay, your list should look like what I have down here from least to greatest. So this is what your list should look like. And remember, even if you have more than one fraction of the same, or more than one of the same fractions, you have to put them in the list also. So now we're going to make our tally table, and you need to find a spot on your Go Math book to make the tally table just like I did here. So you need to have a spot for each of your fractions in quarts that the students drank of milk. So notice I have a spot for my 1/8, I have a spot for my 2/8, 3/8, and 4/8. And you need to make sure that you have a side where you're going to put your tallies for each of the fractions. So go ahead and draw your tally table just like I did here, and we're going to go ahead and start filling it in. Well, I know that my first fraction, which is my smallest fraction, is 1/8 of the milk that was drunk at lunch. So I'm going to put that fraction here in this spot. And then my next one is 2/8. Remember, I'm going from least to greatest. Then 3/8, and then 4/8. So, what I'd like you to do is put a tally for however many of those fractions come up in the tally spot. So we'll do the first one. So I have 2 students that drank 1/8 quarts of milk at lunch. So I'm going to put 2 tallies. Now go ahead, fill out the rest of your tally table, and then come over here to your line plot and see if you can fill that out also. And we'll check over it in just a minute. Okay, so for your 2/8 fraction, you should have had 1, 2, 3, 4 tallies in that spot, because that was representing 4 students that drank 2/8 of milk at lunch. Then for your 3/8, you should have had 2. And then for your 4/8, you should have had 2 also, 2 tallies. Then, if we come to our line plot over here, for 1/8, we just count however many tallies we had, and that's for we have 2 students, so 2 X's that go for 1/8. For 2/8, we should have had 4 X's, just like however many tallies we had. For 3/8, we should have had 2 X's, And for 4/8, you should have had 2 x's also. I hope you got that right. Okay, here's number 5 of our problem solving. It says to make a tally table and a line plot for the data given. So what I'd like you to do is we're going to look at the distance between stops for a rural mail carrier. And it's in miles. And they gave us fraction data. So what we're going to do is you're going to make a tally table and a line plot by yourself. And then we're going to check our answers when you get done. Now, I drew my tally table right here. So you can copy how my tally table looks and make sure you have that drawn in your Go Math book. So press play whenever you're ready to go over the answer. Okay, let's go over our answers. Now, if you noticed, I had to look at my fractions that told us how many miles the distance was between the stops that a mail carrier made. And they were in fraction. They were out of tenths. So I had to come and put them in order down here. Now I had to put them in order from least to greatest before I made my tally table. I hope you did that too. Then I had to come and make my tally table, which I had for you here, and you should have made one on your Go Math book page. And I put 1/10, 2/10. Now we didn't have a 2/10 down here, did we? But I could see that it was missing because I had 1 and then 3, 4, and 5. So I have to make sure that I add him in there too, even if he doesn't have any tallies. So then I have 3/10, 4/10, and 5/10. And I can see I only have one spot, so 1/10 fraction, so I put 1 tally. I didn't have any for 2/10. Then for 3/10 I had 1, 4/10 I had 3, and 5/10 I had 2. Then if I come into my line plot, you should have had 1 x for 1/10, no x's for 2/10. 3/10 we should have had 1, 4/10 we should have had 3, and 5/10 we should have had 2. I hope that your tally table and your line plot came out just like mine. Okay, here are the homework questions for tonight. It says use the line plot for 1 and 2. So we're going to use this line plot to answer both 1 and 2. And it says to answer the rest of the questions on page 230. Make sure you're doing that. Don't forget to assess yourself. Level 1 is a novice, Level 2 apprentice, Level 3 practitioner, and Level 4 expert. Make sure that you're putting this at the top of your Go Math page. Here are the homework questions again, and I will see you tomorrow so that we can practice some more line plots. Bye!